At just 17 years old, Amani Lynch had already likened himself to the likes of London gangsters, Blanka, Enns, and Carl the Dread Robinson. So entangled to the quick pace that was street politics and gang culture and the honour of a rep, Amani Lynch did not care that he had armed himself with a blade, and then conducted a K-ing outside the school in broad daylight, to the shock and horror of at least 3 teachers and parents. Thankfully, the school pupils had not seen the M as they were still in class at the time. Now please, let's just forget the fact that the M crime scene was outside Sandringham Primary School, Forest Gate. Amani Lynch had committed himself to taking his victim's life. Literally, Amani Lynch had committed murder for no reason. Amani Lynch's victim was 17 years old, Champion Ganda. As well as being an up-and-coming rapper who used the name Chrome, Champion was also a talented footballer whom had climbed the ranks of Arsenal's academy youth. According to reports, Amani Lynch and his 2 gangster friends, Devontae Clifford and Marvin Simmons, had taken a taxi together on the 9th of May 2013. The 3 teenagers were said to have been going to meet friends. However, when the taxi stopped in traffic close to the Sandringham Primary School, the teenagers spotted Champion, who at the time was a college student studying performing arts at Stratford College, and he was with his friend Shaquille Davis. Now, despite being a rapper and a talented footballer, Champion was no angel himself, and it was said that when Amani and Champion had crossed paths, Champion was actually going to sell weed. Now, it's like dealers and gangsters almost have a spidey sense. They can spot other dealers about to conduct business, because rather than continue with the journey, Amani, Devontae, and Marvin had told the taxi driver to pull over. The 3 teenagers then exited that taxi before they began to chase Champion down, along with Shaquille. Champion did not take kindly to being regarded as a victim, so he stopped running, turned round, and aimed to defend himself. He swung wildly trying to protect himself and his mate, and then he took a step back when Amani Lynch was seen brandishing a blade. Without hesitation, Amani had swiped and then jabbed. He nicked Champion once, twice, and then Amani went in for the K. The Old Bailey heard that Amani had bladed Champion a total of 11 times. He had made holes in lungs, and also some of the incisions were so deep that the pointed metal had chipped and scored bones. Let that viciousness and seriousness and deprivation sink in. Despite being in grave pain, Champion had tried to get away, and he was seen staggering from the scene before he crumbled to the ground. So frenzied was the incident that Amani Lynch's clothes were dyed in red. Now, in the aftermath, Good Samaritans, like the teachers, went to check on Champion, and they performed first aid, while other people had dialed 999 and requested police and ambulance crew. They tried to keep Champion talking and awake and stop the red from flowing. Amani, in the meantime, he just ran away from the scene, along with his mates, and his blade was tucked up in his sleeve before he discarded it along with his clothes in a safe location. Now, under normal circumstances, normal people, when they commit such a heinous crime, they go into hiding, or at the very least, go back home and try to figure out what's their next move. However, rather than lay low, Amani Lynch went to KFC, of all things, and he feasted on a delicious meal, a 3-piece chicken and chips. Now again, witnesses described overhearing Amani Lynch laughing and talking about how he had K'd Chrome. It was almost as if he was able to separate himself from what he had done. Sadly, Champion Ganda was pronounced dead soon after, and the news devastated his mum, his sister, his friends, her son, and Champion's girlfriend, whom all failed to understand why this had happened to Champion when he was literally a 1 in a million. Everyone says that Champion was going to go on to do amazing things, whether that be acting, becoming a rapper, or football. Now, within the span of 96 hours, 4 days, police had categorised Amani Lynch as a suspect in the M of Champion. Amani was found to be hiding at a dealer's bedsit of all places that was also used to store Class A and Class B, so police made their way to the address and then placed Amani in handcuffs. However, because police knew that Devontae Clifford and Marvin Simas were also in the taxi, along with Amani, Amani was released on bail. This was mainly because Devontae Clifford had been seen to be hindering the investigation by fleeing the country and hiding out in St. Lucia, so police were trying to ready an extradition. Now, while released on bail, Amani did not use the time to meet with his solicitor or lay low or repent. Instead, Amani had got back to doing what he knew best. He gathered his digital scales, cling film, and began to package and sell drer to his customers. So much so that the 17-year-old was spotted in Cannington, Bow, and other places across London making sales, and then police had to arrest him all over again for selling Class A and Class B while on bail. Now, when questioned what was his deal, Amani admitted to police that this is who I am. Amani had embraced the life of a dealer and a gangster whom had carried a blade to ensure no harm or foul had come to him. Think of it as protection, a safety measure in case he ever needed one. As Amani put it in his own words, he would do anything for money. Now, in court, the solidarity that Amani, Devontae, and Marvin had all been cast away to the wayside and no longer existed. There was no loyalty against the gangsters. There was no sense of friendship, and that showed because Amani had invited friends to his court appearance on the day that Devontae Clifford, his own friend, was due to take the stand and point Amani out as the person whom had taken Champion's life. Now, somehow, Amani had known that his friend Devontae Clifford had folded and had spoken to the police and made a deal that he would grass on his co-defendant. So, Amani and his friends had invited their other friends in the public gallery during the trial in a bid to intimidate Devontae Clifford. Now, though their presence was silenced with words, the promise was clear: do not grass, do not speak. Now, during the trial, it was also said that Amani had showed a complete lack of understanding from what it did, or even comprehension. During the trial, he was seen twiddling his thumbs, laughing with friends, yawning and grinning at Champion's mum and sister as they wept in the gallery as evidence was shown as to what happened to their loved one, their son, their brother. Ultimately, the judge found Amani Lynch not guilty of the end because 3 teenagers were in the taxi and only 1 blade was produced. Though Devontae had pointed Amani out as the person responsible, the judge says that it was possible that Amani had been the one to take the blade in the taxi, but equally he could not be sure. After all, Devontae was an unreliable witness, as he had fled the country and hid out in St. Lucia in the aftermath. He only sought to help the investigation when his freedom was on the line after he was looking at a long jail sentence. Now, Amani Lynch, who is from Canning Town, was found guilty of manslaughter and wounded with intent with GBH in regards to Shaquille Davis. The judge told Amani Lynch that he would be jailed for 14 years, but he could be released in as little as 7 years. As for Devontae Clifford grassing on Amani Lynch, it probably paid off hugely, because self-preservation is a real thing. Now, does the crime match the sentence? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and condolences. A talented rapper and footballer had lost his life for no other reason than being spotted by Amani Lynch. Again, these two are not rivals. The value of life was set at 0. Condolences. Stay safe.